Hey everyone, and welcome to the Chapter 6 vocabulary video. This is all vocabulary regarding carbohydrates. The first one is alcohol. An alcohol is a functional group. It's designated by the letters OH, or the elements oxygen and hydrogen. So it's an OH sticking off of some organic molecule. An aldehyde is another functional group. It's a carbon that's double bonded to an oxygen and then single bonded to a hydrogen. So it's a COH group, if you will. And an aldose, or aldose, is a sugar, a carbohydrate that contains an aldehyde functional group. Amylopectin is a type of starch. It is a branched polysaccharide, so it's many glucoses in a branched chain, and it's found in plants. It's a form of starch. Amylose is the other form of starch. It is a straight chain. So amylose is made entirely of alpha-1,4 linkages, and amylopectin contains alpha-1,4 and alpha-1,6 linkages, which make it branched. A carbohydrate is a macronutrient. It's an organic molecule that's really important in biology, and it's got a base formula of carbon or of CH2O, so it's carbon and water, hence the carbohydrate. It's made through a process of photosynthesis in plants. Carbonyl is a sort of really a part of a functional group. It's what we call a carbon that's double bonded to an oxygen. Anytime you see that, that's a carbonyl functional group. Cellulose is also found in plants. It's a polysaccharide or a complex carbohydrate, and it is used for building structural components. It's very rigid and it contains beta-1,4 linkages. Chitin, spelled chitin, but it's pronounced chitin, is a type of complex carbohydrate or polysaccharide that's found in animal exoskeletons. Disaccharide is two sugar rings that are bonded together, or two monosaccharides that are bonded together. Fructose is an important monosaccharide. It is also known as fruit sugar, and it's the sweetest of all the monosaccharides. Galactose is also a monosaccharide, and it is a component of lactose, milk sugar, the disaccharide. Glucose is the most abundant monosaccharide on the planet, made through photosynthesis. Glycogen is a polysaccharide, a complex polysaccharide. It's used for energy storage, glucose storage, and is found in animals, particularly in muscle and liver tissue. Glycolysis is a metabolic process by which we convert glucose to energy that we'll talk about much more in Chapter 12. A glycosidic bond, or a glycosidic linkage, is the name of the bond that links two monosaccharides together, or multiple monosaccharides together. So in a disaccharide, you have one glycosidic linkage. In a polysaccharide, where you have hundreds or thousands of glucose molecules, you have hundreds or thousands of glycosidic bonds. Insoluble fiber is fiber that is not digestible. So cellulose is a form of dietary fiber that's not digestible. It's insoluble. A ketone is another organic functional group. It's a carbon that's double bonded to an oxygen, so it has a carbonyl functional group, and then that carbon is also single bonded to two other carbons. So a ketone is a carbonyl found in the middle of a carbon chain, and an aldehyde is a terminal carbonyl functional group. Let's see, ketose is next. Ketose is just a sugar, a carbohydrate that has a ketone rather than an aldehyde functional group. Lactose is a disaccharide. It's also known as milk sugar, and it is made of 1 part glucose and 1 part galactose. Maltose is the third disaccharide that's important, and it's two rings of glucose attached together, and it's sometimes called malt sugar. Monosaccharide means one sugar. So monosaccharides are single sugar molecules, the smallest type of carbohydrate. Oligosaccharide. Oligo means few. So oligosaccharides contain a few sugars, somewhere between 3 and 9 sugar rings attached together. And these are not really dietary carbohydrates. These are carbohydrates that have a different function. Oligosaccharides tend to be on the surface of cells and act as cell markers or identifiers. Polysaccharide is a word that means many sugars. So polysaccharides are considered 10 monosaccharides or more linked together. And sometimes it can be, thousands or millions of glucose molecules linked together, so that's a polysaccharide. Soluble fiber is partially digestible. So soluble fiber means it's soluble in water, and to some extent we can digest soluble fibers, but we don't really get into soluble fiber much in this chapter. Storage polysaccharides are polysaccharides that contain glucose that we use to store. What we're storing in storage polysaccharides is glucose. It's energy storage. Storage polysaccharides are long-term or short-term energy storage. Structural polysaccharides are for building material. So the structural polysaccharides are the fiber, so cellulose and chitin, and storage polysaccharides for energy would be glycogen and starch. And then last on the list here is sucrose. Sucrose is a disaccharide. It's made up of part glucose, part fructose, so it's the sweetest disaccharide. It's sugar when we talk about sugar in food or you're baking with sugar. That is sucrose. The end.